Hi guys, Mike here from the Comic Checklist. In this one, we'll do a summary for the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 3, written by Stan Lee and Roy Thomas, and drawn by John Romita, John Buscema, and Jill Kane. The omnibus collects the Amazing Spider-Man 68 through 104, and if you are wondering about the annuals 6, 7, and 8, they only collect reprints. Fair warning, spoilers ahead. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and if you are ready, let's dive into the story. We start with issue 68. Kingpin wants to steal an ancient tablet which is on exhibit at Peter's college. Peter declines to join a student protest, a protest which the Kingpin takes advantage of to enter the building where the artifact is exposed. Even though Spidey tries to stop him, the Kingpin manages to steal the tablet. In issue 69, Spidey defeats the Kingpin, but the villain tells the cops Spider-Man is his ally. So when our hero tries to return the tablet, he gets shot at and leaves angry, taking the tablet with him. In issue 70, Gwen is questioning Peter's disappearance acts while the Kingpin manages to escape from jail. However, Spider-Man finds him, but because JJ's Daily Bugle car stops right between the foes, the Kingpin runs away. Spidey gets angry at the publisher, grabs him, which makes him faint. Our hero swings away, fearing he might have caused JJ a heart attack. Issue 71 features Quicksilver, who wants to bring Spider-Man to justice. And we find out that JJ has only suffered from a case of shock. Spidey delivers the tablet to Captain Stacy and then fights Pietro, whom he defeats, and eventually they part ways amicably. In issue 72, the Shocker steals the tablet from Captain Stacy and Spidey fights him, but he runs away. Peter gets jealous of Flash, who flirts with Gwen, and then as Spider-Man fights the Shocker again, but this time he defeats him. In issue 73, Captain Stacy tells Spidey that the Shocker might have given the tablet to his girlfriend. When he reaches the girl's house, he fights Man-Mountain Marco, who is after the tablet as well. Cesar Cicero bails Wilson, one of Kingpin's henchmen, out of jail, and despite Spidey's efforts, Marco gets the tablet. Cicero delivers Wilson to Silvermane, the head of Magia, and Marco the tablet. Later, Cicero also brings Kurt Connors, aka the Lizard. In issue 74, Silvermane gives Wilson and Connors 24 hours to decipher the tablet. Spidey fights Cicero's men and tries to save Kurt's wife and son, who were captured by Cicero, but fails. And Silvermane, after Connors manages to create a serum based on the tablet's inscriptions, drinks the serum, faints, but then arises stronger and younger. In issue 75, Spidey reaches the Magia's headquarters and fights Marco, while Kurt Connors starts to transform into the Lizard. Silvermane gets younger and younger and even becomes a teenager. Not long after, Spidey hears a child sobbing, but only finds the head of Magia's clothes. In issue 76, Spider-Man battles the Lizard, however, trying not to hurt him, gets knocked down. Spidey has a plan and he wants the Lizard to drop him, but right after the villain does, the Torch shows up and saves him, ruining his plan. In issue 77, our hero now has to save Dr. Connors and also stop the Torch from hurting the Doctor. Spidey eventually makes Johnny fly away by telling him he heard some Fantastic Four distress call and manages to turn the Lizard back into his human form by using some dehydrating powder. In issue 78, Peter, after seeing Gwen with Flash and also not knowing that Gwen only wants help regarding Peter's disappearance acts, assumes the worst about the two. Hobie Brown, fed up with his life, uses his inventions to become the Prowler. He wants to commit a crime, return the loot as Hobie, and become a hero. At the Bugle, he bumps into Peter. In issue 79, Peter jumps out the window, changes into Spider-Man, fights the Prowler, but the Prowler escapes. The next day, Peter tells Gwen off after seeing her and Flash together the other day, and later, our hero clashes with the Prowler again, defeats him, but lets him go after hearing his story. In issue 80, Flash explains that Gwen only wanted advice regarding Peter's disappearances, so Peter calls Gwen to apologize. They go to an exhibit at which the paintings get stolen. The culprit is the Chameleon, disguised as Captain Stacy, who later Spidey manages to catch as the villain decides to disguise himself as Peter Parker. In issue 81, Spidey battles the Kangaroo. In issue 82, Peter books a TV show for money, however, Electro attacks him. He defeats his foe, but the villain runs away and Spidey doesn't get any money. Issue 83 introduces the schemer who tries to take over the Kingpin's domain. Vanessa, Kingpin's wife, is introduced as well, and we learn about their son, Richard, who is missing in Alps. Peter and Gwen almost get hit by a truck, but Peter saves Gwen and gets her to the hospital. As Spider-Man, he reaches the schemer's hideout, fights him, but the villain eventually runs away. Peter gets sent away by Gwen when he wants to visit her in the hospital because she is upset that he left in the first place. In issue 84, a $5,000 reward is put on the schemer's head, and Gwen and Captain Stacy question Peter about how he wasn't even scratched in the accident. The schemer attacks Kingpin, Spidey joins the fight, and the crime boss, realizing Vanessa and the schemer are gone, rushes to look for his wife. In issue 85, Kingpin discovers Vanessa hasn't left the house. Gwen and her father continue to question Peter, questions that might uncover his secret identity, so he changes into the Wallcrawler and tells them Spidey and Peter have a deal in which Peter takes pictures, sells them, and splits the money with Spider-Man, and also that Pete owns him. Spidey captures the schemer, delivers him to the reward location, and to his surprise, finds the Kingpin, the one who was offering the reward. The Kingpin grabs the schemer, discovers he is in fact his son, Richard, and falls into a state of shock. In issue 86, our hero encounters the Black Widow and is starting to lose his powers. In issue 87, Spidey is feeling worse. He is late for Gwen's birthday party, however, when he eventually arrives, he reveals that he is Spider-Man. He then goes to a hospital and the doctor diagnoses him with a simple flu. With his powers back, he asks Hobie to dress in his Spider-Man costume and meet Peter and everybody that Peter has revealed his secret identity to, so that they would believe that Peter and Spider-Man are two different persons. In issue 88, Dr. Octopus breaks out of jail with the help of his mechanical arms and then hijacks a plane. When the plane lands, Spidey shows up and tackles the doctor. The passengers escape, Dr. Octopus starts the plane, our hero jumps out of the plane, and the villain crashes the aircraft and is presumed dead. In issue 89, Peter suspects Dr. Octopus is not dead, and he is right. He finds him climbing a smokestack and they fight. After Spidey saves the crowd below from a water tower, the villain manages to capture him and, wanting to kill him, throws him off the building. In issue 90, Spidey survives the fall, but the doctor runs away. They fight again and Doc Ock knocks down a chimney. The rebels fall toward the kid, whom Captain Stacy saves but gets crushed instead. Spidey tries to get him to a doctor, but the captain asks him to stop, calls him Peter, tells him to be good to Gwen, and unfortunately dies. In issue 91, Gwen blames Spider-Man for her father's death, and she decides to help Sam Bullet, who is running for district attorney, hoping he would bring Spider-Man to justice, which he promises he will do. Bullet questions Peter about Spider-Man and puts his men to beat him when he doesn't want to talk. Spidey gets his revenge, and when he reaches his apartment, bumps into Bullet and Gwen, proving the connection between Peter and the Wallcrawler. In issue 92, Spider-Man grabs Gwen, but as he tries to convince her that Peter and Spidey are two different persons, Iceman tackles him and our hero eventually runs away. Robertson has a file on Bullet, so Bullet orders his men to capture him. Spidey, who eventually teams up with Iceman, saves Robertson and exposes Bullet for the criminal that he is. In issue 93, Gwen is asked by her uncle to go and stay in London, and when Peter visits her, tells her he can't ask her to stay as he is thinking she blames Spider-Man for Stacy's death. The Prowler attacks Spidey, believing Spider-Man has made him an accomplice to murder when he asked him for help, but he falls down an elevator shaft and Spidey ends up saving him. After the fight, Peter finds out Gwen has left for the airport, and when he gets there, he's too late. In issue 94, Peter visits his aunt, and as he takes a nap, his aunt goes for milk and gets captured by the Beetle. As Spider-Man, our hero saves her and stops the Beetle. In issue 95, Peter goes to London to see Gwen. Herbert Knowles, a delegate for peace, and his son get captured by some terrorists, and Spidey saves them. That makes his meeting with Gwen impossible without her suspecting he is Spider-Man, now that the whole England knows that the Wallcrawler is in London. In issue 96, Peter gets back from London. Our hero and Harry go to MJ's off-Broadway musical. Norman Osborn is also present, and he and Peter have a strange feeling about the door. After the musical, Osborn goes to the door. He is followed by Spidey, who upon entering finds the Green Goblin. Norman Osborn has regained his memories and now knows, once again, that Spidey is Peter Parker. In issue 97, Spidey fights the Green Goblin. He falls and the Goblin flies away, thinking his foe is dead. Harry pops some pills, MJ flirts with Peter, and later tells Harry she's not anyone's girl, which makes Harry take even more pills. Peter tries to help him, but the Green Goblin shows up. In issue 98, as the Goblin sees Harry, runs away, and Peter gets his friend to the hospital. Spidey eventually finds the Goblin, grabs him, and steers him to the hospital where Harry was admitted. The Goblin is shocked and faints, and then Spider-Man takes Norman Osborn home. Changed from the Spider-Man costume, Peter is surprised to see Gwen. She is back. In issue 99, Peter gets a permanent job as a spare-time staff photographer, and as Spidey stops a prisoner named Turpo from escaping. In issue 100, Peter, thinking that if he were to marry Gwen, he won't be able to keep his secret identity from her, decides to drink a potion that he was working on for years, which supposedly will take away his powers. But it gives him 4 extra arms instead. In issue 101, Kurt Connors offers Spidey his summer house as a place for the Wallcrawler to stay. The house happens to be the place Morbius the vampire chooses to sleep through the day. When he wakes, Morbius attacks Spidey, but as he is about to bite him, Connors shows up, gets attacked by Morbius, and transforms into the lizard. In issue 102, Morbius bites the lizard and runs away. Connors takes control and figures out an enzyme from Morbius might have done that. Spidey creates a serum, which most likely combined with the enzyme will help them both. They find Morbius, Connors extracts the enzyme, gets the potion, and reverts to his human form. But Morbius snatches the potion. Spidey manages to get the potion back, and as for Morbius, he apparently drowns. The potion also works for our hero as the extra arms go away. In issue 103, JJ decides to make a series of articles about a monster in Antarctica. He gets Peter and Gwen to come with him, and despite being in Antarctica, they reach a hot jungle. They find the monster, Gog, who kidnaps Gwen. Peter fakes falling into a river and goes after her as Spider-Man, and Gog delivers Gwen to Kraven the Hunter, who wants her as his queen. Kazar shows up, learns about the events, and goes after Gwen as well. And in issue 104, Spidey teams up with Kazar. The Wallcrawler leads Gog away, and Kazar defeats Kraven, who is now presumed dead. Spidey tricks Gog into falling in quicksand, Kazar brings Gwen to JJ, and shortly after, Peter shows up as well. And that's it guys, the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 3. I hope you enjoyed the video, cheers!